Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Nisi Denise, Baby Girl Slaughter, back to do another reading. Shout out to Chief Red Wolf. Last night, he did a live stream. I think Westside Kulik, Olmec, myself, Dev D, Millennium, and the rest of the team was there for support. I had a problem with my mic, and I was getting a lot of echo feedback, so I didn't go on, you know. I logged in and was hearing them, but it was too much feedback. And so I canceled, I had the canceling the echo out of my mic, but I still got the feedback. So my thing is I just listened. And then funny thing is I kind of drifted off and kind of fell asleep to their voices. So, they're family to me. So one thing I want to say is we have to support each other, right? I've learned so much from Chief Red Wolf, Camiro, Westside, even Rondo, Um, I appreciate the fact that when you are ready to learn some things, people will appear in your life for a purpose, right? So I did a video yesterday over on Facebook Live over star forts, right? These are the 4 pages that I was telling you that I have. I only went through maybe like 4 star forts, 3 or 4 star forts. And I then pulled up some buildings, some cathedrals and stuff like that. And then we talked about the ley lines. And I wanted to bring that up because when you're starting to do your research and your investigation into Tartary, you will find that you will come across these star forts. Okay. Also on the video, in the live stream, I was going through my laptop and I did not have my microphone hooked to my laptop. So that's why the sound was kind of low, and I apologize. I'm thinking that probably during the Facebook live stream, you probably could hear me a little bit better than when I was uploading it to YouTube. So I will really try to make sure I use my microphone. Okay. I need to charge this thing because I haven't charged it since I got it. So I need to charge it. What I want to quickly do is I showed you yesterday the Palo Nova, Italy. I didn't show you. I showed you Fort McHenry, USA, Maryland. I don't know if I pulled up Fort Monroe. There's Fort Point in California. I think I pulled that up. There, like I said, Fort George, Scotland, Citadel, Jace of Spain, the Ravlin, Straia, Lajda, Russia. Man, when you see how many of these, there's over 30 star forts here on this page. So it says star forts are also called bastion forts of mysterious star-shaped structures found across each continent. While mainstream historians claim that they were built for war between the 15th and 18th centuries, their advanced geometry, precise symmetry, and global distribution suggest a much older and deeper origin. And it is, like I said many times before, and you do your own research, you'll come across the fact that they added 1,000 years to our timeline. It's not 2025. It's like 1017, 1000, between 1017 and 1021. I mean, really, to be honest with you. And I think that's why we're out of balance now, because we're so disconnected from the earth, period. Like, we don't go outside and get sunlight and ground like we should. We really do need to meditate, and we need to take in things that are a life force, live energy, because our bodies are electrical appliances, right? I just went over to Main Squeeze and I got me a Berry Bliss smoothie. And instead of putting almond butter in here, I used natural peanut butter in this one. But, I noticed personally for me, when I juice and I drink juice and eat lots of fruits and vegetables and just eliminate as much as possible the meat, I feel so much better. So I really need to be consistent about my diet. And I'm not being consistent right now. I'm all over the place, right? I'm literally all over the place. But today is Sunday, so they tell us. And so I thought, I haven't really eaten anything. So I went and got me a smoothie, and I got smoothies for the next couple of days, juices. And this afternoon, when I do eat, I'll eat a salad and a small piece of fish. And that's it. I mean, literally, that's it. I did order a book on star forts. It'll be here this week. So I just wanted to call that out to you. So, They say the structures often align with ley lines, which I talked about yesterday, right? The world grid, the world map on ley lines, and I showed you. I pulled up the map. Probably was hard to see, but I did pull it up to show you that there are, structures on those ley lines, and there's sacred water sources and cymatic patterns that are used in the constructions of these forts and of these buildings. Many believe star forts were part of an ancient global energy grid, possibly created by a forgotten civilization we now call Tartaria. And some of them might be even older than that, right? Far more than military relics, star forts may be resonant temples, power stations, or gateways of lost knowledge. Okay. This is the book that I had purchased a while back in April. It's this one right here. And I'm going to hold it up. Go Google it and pull it up. It was, I think, $159 or $129. And I think it's on sale for like $99. I think, if I remember correctly. Hey, Mimi. So let's get into chapter 5 of the reading. Okay. And I'm just going to read to you guys, and we're just going to see. So I left off where we were talking about the lost technology of Tartaria. And we started talking about how this was ushering in. So I'll read this last part. It seems to me that the world fairs, which popped up in most major cities in the Northern Hemisphere at around the same time, were used to exhibit Tartarian technology. That was now ready for public use. The more advanced technology appears to have been kept for military applications. In in chapter 7, we'll expand on that, exactly how they utilized Tartarian technology and also how they repurposed the buildings too. This was the dawn of what's known today as the whitewashing of history. Next, the mobile telephone, which was slightly different to those we have today. I have seen several images and also a video of these being quite popular and available to the general public over 100 years ago. In the early 1900s, the portable or mobile telephone was carried in a wooden box, a bit like a small briefcase. And to get power to it, it was connected to a fire hydrant. The reason for being able to get power from the fire hydrant is because Tartarians put an electrical charge into the water supply, which improved our physical and mental health dramatically by deionizing it and removing any toxins. I have a hydrogen water bottle in the other room that I bought probably 6 months ago, and I filled it with water and I turned it on, and there was some plastic or paper at the bottom and I couldn't get it out. So I just let the water sit to try to get the paper really moist to where I could go in and scrape it off. And I haven't done it yet. It's still on the kitchen counter, but it's like a relic. I need to use it. So today, after this video, I'm going to go in there and clean my water bottle. I am going to put my water. I drink this distilled water, and I also have a distiller on the countertop. But my distilled water in there, and then I'm going to turn it on and let it do its thing, right? I think the one that I bought was called Hydro, HYDRH, Hydro water bottle. I think it was like $150, $149, something like that. But it's, it's really beneficial. And I suggest you guys to look in electrifying your water, right? I'm just saying, just energetically, it helps to reduce inflammation in your body. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. So, they deionize the water and they remove the toxins. Once connected, the user would open an umbrella with an electrical circuit running around it, serving as an antenna, and then would be connected instantly to the operator. One popular model of this innovation was a homophone. It is possible this technology was kept from us until the parasites had a secure method of being able to monitor and listen into calls that we make. And they do it all the time. They're watching me on these screens that I got, even though they're not on, they can still see laptop, the cell phone I'm recording on. I mean, they do that. I mean, they have a team of people, a team of folks, or an army that listens to things. On the surface, they do it, and underground, they do it as well. So that's no surprise there. Another odd Tartarian invention I keep stumbling across is the electric scooter, which the Tartarians called an autoped. I've included photographic evidence of these in the center pages. I haven't yet studied these enough to know if they were stored there if they stored their own power or operated by receiving electricity wirelessly from the grids under the city roads. The New York Post Office actually used them from around 1917, and then there is quite a lot of video footage on YouTube and TikTok on the autoped in use. Okay, so you guys can go look that up. We all assume that when the electric scooter appeared on the scene at the turn of the century, it was a new invention, and even now, some cities are only just starting to introduce them as a means of getting around built up areas that aren't car friendly anymore. But as this is clearly not the case, why has there been a gap of almost 100 years before they were reintroduced? The same can be said for electric cars. Commonplace back in the late 1800s, and once again, New York, where one of the largest users was the NYPD, running an entire fleet of them. Okay. The electric car wasn't just for government departments, but was also quite popular with the wealthy too. The company called Baker advertised quite heavily with a strapline, the aristocrats of the motordom. Another popular model distributed throughout America was the Victoria Phantom with a range of 100 miles and was manufactured by a company called Fritzl. I can only assume there is a connection between them and VW, okay, Volkswagen. Robots were used by Tartarians for several different purposes and were not just replicating humans, but also animals too, such as horses. They were used on farms and to draw carriages, and there were even examples of them pushing primes through the city streets, and one robot using a revolver in a Wild West show, fashioned in a very similar style to what we would call the steampunk today. They had a far more mechanical look to them. Okay, not like we do now with the silicone. Okay. An incredibly large robot from the Tartarian era was actually found in an underground bunker in 2021. So that was just like 4 years ago. All right. In addition, they also manufactured robotic limbs with attachments for replacement of arms and legs that could be used as electrical tools, including hammers, saws, and drills. Okay. Anti-gravity craft is rumored to have been pioneered by the Tartarians, but this is another huge can of worms, which I've decided to leave out here. However, you may wish to further investigate this yourselves. I have found evidence of flying machines like UFOs and of Foo fighters going back as far as ancient India, and footage is still around today of some small craft being used by the U.S. military in 1958. You may also be interested to know or to learn that the battery goes back a very long time, a very, very long time too, way further than the Tartarian Empire. The Baghdad battery, which I talked about before, or the Parthian battery, was an artifact hypothesized to be an ancient version of a battery found in 1938 by a German archaeologist. The Baghdad battery is estimated to be around 2,000 years old and consists of a clay jar and a copper cylinder and an iron rod. Oh, it goes back much further than that. Like, we know that those pyramids in Giza are either, was it 30,000 years ago? Or is it 250,000 years ago? I have all these dates in my head. Like, I know that we've been a species here within this Earth dome a very long time. They're giving us the timelines because they've recreated it. But we've been here a very long time, especially if you know we've had 6 resets, right? And we're on the 7th. And I know that I talked about this in Claudio's work, right? And I wanted to tie back to how they repopulated the planets, okay? And I'm going to bring that back up in a second. I want to get off target. So it says these batteries were produced 0.5 volts on their own, but when several were loaded or hooked together, they managed to produce 4.5 volts, which that they deemed made the myth plausible. All doubt of their validity came to an unpleasant end when an archaeologist volunteered to be shocked by one of these batteries, and he was. In closing this chapter, I would like to bring your attention to a very mysterious object, the Raja Hindu for thunderbolt. This is a legendary and ritualistic tool symbolizing the properties of a diamond for indestructibility and a thunderbolt for irresistibility force or irresistible force. In Hinduism, it has also been associated with weapons, as it is said to be able to harness the energy from the atmosphere, from the ether, okay, which can be emitted in the same way as a laser gun in science fiction movies, okay? It says, the use of the Varja is symbolic and is a ritual tool found in all schools of the Tibetan Buddhism. It's a round, symmetrical metal sphere with our scepter with two ribbed spherical heads and comes with a separate bell. The Vraja is considered inseparable from the bell, and both are sold in the Dharma stores, but only in matching sets. The bell depicts the face of the Daraswati, a female Buddha, and the consort of Akshabaya. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I gave it a stab. Okay, the Varja has also been associated as the weapon of India, the Vedic king of the Devas in heaven. Okay, according to Hinduism, the Vajra is considered one of the most powerful weapons in the universe. I have included a picture of one within the center pages, and you might be interested to learn that Elon Musk has placed one on his bedside table. Okay, so let me go look at this picture really quick. Let me see if I can find it. He said it was in the center of the book. So he's included a lot of black and white pictures here. Let me see. He's got a map of Grand Tartary and he's got a map of Tartaria. Flags of the world, including Tartarian. Okay. On the back of the American dollar bill in 1776, it has New World Order, which is Novus Circulum. And he shows a picture of that. He's got pictures of a lot of books, or not a lot of books, but pictures of a lot of buildings. But I want to get a picture of that staff, of that scepter that they were talking about. I'm gonna hold it up to you. He also has pictures of bells. This is a cathode that sits on the top of the cathedral. And I'm going to show you this picture. So this is how they harnessed the technology back then, free energy. Okay, right here. Look. You see it? See these cathodes up here? And you see the electricity here? My thing is what if they're harnessing the energy in the ether and they're charging us for it? It's free. And we paying it. We paying for it and it's free, y'all. And we shouldn't be. Thanks to that damn Rothschild fucktard, excuse my language. I'm just trying to find. Oh, okay. These are electrical metal grids that that was on the tarmac, what they used to utilize the energy. This is a picture of Tesla, supposedly, and the Tesla coil right here. Okay, and then this is a picture of the metal grates that was on the roads. Look, so you can see how the metal would be utilized. Okay, I remember in Louisville they had a lot of Tartarian fireplace, and this looks just like the damn fireplace at my house, at my old house. Look at this that I was telling you guys about. Yeah, it looks really weird. And here's a pneumatic underground train. Look at this, you guys. Y'all need to look this one up. Look at that. Look at how it looks. It's round. See it? It doesn't look like a typical square boxy train. Here's a Tartarian airship, which was a blimp. We call it a blimp, or Hindenburg blew up. I think that was the onslaught of the fall of Tartary. Here's a moving sidewalk, which you would see in the airports, but that was back in the 1800s. This is during the Reconstruction. Like they were utilizing the technology then. They had to destroy everything that was built. Here's the Autopads. Look at this. And you see the Cabbage Patch Babies on them. These are Cabbage Patch because they were repopulated. They came in over here and they repopulated this world all around the world. Here's a Phantom electric car and a Baker electric car. Check this out. Then we already had this technology. They would have you to believe we invented it, but no. And here's the homophone. Look, here's the phone with the box. Look. Nothing new under the sun. Somebody argue me, why we need to know all this? Why do we need to know this and this and this? Tartarian, here's the robots. Look. Look at this. Look at that. And here. And here's a picture of one here. This existed. Why do we need to know about this? Because this plays a factor in discovering what has already been here. It's been here the whole time. If you don't look at the past, you won't ever be able to course correct and change the present and in the future. Your past, your present, your past is your present, as well as your presence is the past. There's nothing new under the sun, y'all. Everything's been invented and created. It's just that we had a certain set of people, and here's what they were talking about that Elon Musk keeps on his bed. We have a certain group of people, and I don't like to use their names, those who say they are, but are not. And they push a certain agenda, the Z word. I ain't even gonna say it. I don't even want to give them energy anymore. Yeah, they have not been honest about things. They've been very deceptive. Look at the Kansas City, and then look at the Tartarian mud flood here with the windows below. So I'm telling you, the evidence is still there. They did a shitty job in erasing everything. They've got the Louisiana Purchase Exposition. They've got the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. I'll show you these pictures. Look. And look at this. So, I mean, what are we really dealing with here? Well, I mean, we know. An earlier photo, he points out to the vanilla sky where they manipulated the photos. Look, because they had flying vehicles. This is a blank or white sky, vanilla sky. It's because they had flying vehicles back then. They had to blank some of that stuff out. It says 1803, built in 1903. Makes no sense. Look at the dates on this building. Look, you could tell that's Tartarian. And look at all the mud down here. So I'm telling you, there was a major devastation that befell this planet, and like I said, it's been 6 times. 6 times this has happened. We're on the 7th reset right now. Okay, so we finished chapter 5, right? And so what I wanted to call out, and I'm trying to remember which book it's in, so bear with me for a second. I think it's in number 2. I actually have 2 more books coming from Claudio this week. I think it's in this book. This is the latest one that I have. I want to show you a picture of this. So again, when we talk about the technology, and we talk about the technology that we've had since, let's just say, well over 400 years ago. All right, back in the 1800s. So they give us this fictitious timeline. We know that everything that we've been taught, we've come to this understanding and this understanding that everything we've been taught is not the truth. And so what do you do at this point? You focus on going within. You focus on changing your diet, your mindset, music, the programming, letting the TV go, and focusing more on the creator of all in you, the knowledge that you want to learn about a specific topic or subject. I've always said I wanted to go into the great library and the Ancestor Republic and spend my days there just reading and learning. But my thing is, you could apply the knowledge. It's more or less you learn the information, but what you do from there, it depends on your path, obviously. But what's the point of gaining all this knowledge you don't put into application? So knowledge is power if you utilize it. Here's a picture of the Great Library. And I know you've seen this before with all the screens. This is in the Ancestral Republic. And this is from Claudio's book. I was trying to get to the part where it showed the upper waters. Here it is. This is what I want. So they used this machine that's called an ohm machine. And the gentleman went up there to the mountainside, and another giant human took him up, okay, the admiral, and he turned on this device. And when he turned on the device, the sky just opened up where you could see this in it, okay? Upper waters. So this is the ohm device, and then you see the waves, and the sky just opened up. And verily, verily, I say unto you that there are waters below, which are our oceans, and there's even oceans below that, underground, thousands of feet deep, because this earth is much bigger and wider than what they taught us. But when you look at the waters below our land, which we're in the center, and then you have waters above us. But right now, because of the projection that we see when we go outside, we'll see clouds, and then we'll sometimes see a kind of a blue sky. All right. And then if the sun sets, we'll see that reddish orange kind of color that's coming from the sun. And as the sun rises, we get that same color, the reddish orange kind of color, or the brightness from the sun. We'll see that. That's not really how this world is. I mean, we see it because it's being projected by these custodians. Okay. And I'm just going to say, when you read his work, I mean, people say, oh, you believe anything. To me, it's not about a belief. It's about knowing. When you fast and you meditate and you pray and you ask for the information to be brought to you, then you have to utilize it and discern it for yourself. It may not resonate with you, because I feel like people who have a pushback to this information are the ones that have the problem. And when I say that, is that they're so caught up in their daily existence that they can't see the forest for the trees, or they can't see the nose despite the face. They're the ones that would be considered Agent Smiths with Neo, because they're so locked into this world, into this existence, they can't see anything other than that. Their mind can't even fathom that there are other sentient beings that walk among us, that look like us, but are not us, okay? And I'm not here to try to change anybody's mind. I simply tell you, you need to do your research and use your discernment that the Creator of all has so graciously granted you with, right? So I finished up chapter 5, and I just showed you the pictures of the waters above. Of course, we know the oceans look like. We know that. I did a little presentation over on Star Forts and also some of the cathedrals. I know you guys had a hard time hearing me, and I apologize about that. I explained why it was like that, because I wasn't using my mic. I was actually plugged up to my laptop. And so next what we're going to do is talk about chapter 6, the fire, flood, and the comet of 1811. And that's going to be a pretty interesting read. I want to start it off by just saying a couple of pages or a couple of paragraphs. And I want you guys to research the comet of 1811. I also want you to research the Carrington event as well. Okay. So in starting off his chapter, it says, the comet of 1811 continued to aftershock well into the following year, and appears to have been the strategic bombing, possibly atomic, of a major Tartarian civilizations across the world. Okay. Throughout Europe, they refer to it as the event as the Napoleon Comet, and in America as the Texuma's Comet or Legacy. Texuma was a Shawnee chief. Tecumseh was a Shawnee chief and warrior who promoted resistance to the expansion of the United States into American Indian lands. He says Native Americans, but Native Americans are not the same as American Indians. I'm not going to go through that. I know I've talked to you guys about that. I've shared videos. And if you guys follow me or subscribe, you already know the American Indians are none other than a person who looks like me, which would be classified as Negro. Okay. I'm just going to say. And I hate those labels that they give us, right? Because now the label is black or African American. I am not black and I'm not African American, nor do I have any of that shit in my DNA because I've done my genealogy. All right. Just gonna tell you, I know where my people come from. So Tecumseh pushed back, okay, and he resisted. We fought these parasites coming into this land. See, what you don't understand is these racist pieces of excrement. They want everybody to leave, but the problem is if they would do their genealogy, they probably know that they're second, third, fourth generations from here, that their people came here, right? They settled here. They were originally not from here because they invaded our ancestral land. I'm just going to tell you. Native Americans, the same thing. I'm not preaching division, but call a spade for what it is. I'm not black. My t-shirt is black. My skin does not look anything like the damn t-shirt. And most people can't snap up out their damn coma. They can't. For the lack of a better word, they're stupid as shit. I'm just saying. So Tecumseh was a person who didn't want to put up with the bullshit. So he resisted as much as possible. So he resisted the expansion into the United States and onto American Indian land. Okay. Persuasive orator Tecumseh traveled widely, forming a large American Indian Confederacy and promoting intertribal unity. He has Native American here. Again, because he is coming from this vernacular of his perception of things, he's not Native American. He's not American Indian. He is actually writing this book, and he is in Europe, in Great Britain, somewhere in Europe. All right. So his understanding, probably he does know about who the original people of this land are, but he's not going to address it in this book, which, like I said, call a spade a spade. I'm addressing it because I'm reading his stuff and I'm letting you know. And if he sees this video, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with him, okay, via Zoom or whatever, and include some of my other brothers and sisters like Chamiro, Chief Red Wolf, Westside Kulik, all of us have a conversation with these people. But it seems to me that oftentimes the people who really know things, no one wants to really challenge them. They don't want to really get into it. Like Omar would never approach Chief Red Wolf. He would not talk to him. Right. Yaki Awaken had a podcast the other day, and, he kept using the word African American, and that just irritated me so bad. But I understand why he used the word, because he was trying to get the delivery across for the people. Because the majority of our melanated brothers and sisters here in America, they're so far indoctrinated, they're going to walk around and call themselves black until they're unalived, until they're gone, until they exit the body, because that's just how stupid we really are. And the parasites know, they watch, they know this. Okay. So he brought together tribal unity, okay, forming a confederacy and promoting intertribal unity. Tecumseh was killed at the Battle of Thames in Ontario, Canada in 1813, and was just 43 years old. Not much was known about comets at the time, and most people hadn't seen anything like this before. Apparently broke off into approximately 200 meteors, which when it entered our atmosphere, some hit land and some missed. This is the narrative that they're giving us, right? The parasites. These events must have been terrifying. Even the sun was reported to turn black for several days. From start to finish, it lasted 17 months, and craters are still visible around the world today. So that's why I want you guys to go research that and see what you find. I may see if I can pull up some stuff on YouTube, right? We had photographs, we had telephones back then. I'm probably sure there's probably some footage somewhere in some elite's house. I don't even know if I'd be able to get my hands on anything, because they scrub the internet and they scrub YouTube. So I'll check and see if I can find something. But it says, in many ways, this event mirrored a similar catastrophe during the reign of Egyptian Pharaoh Ramses. the second, and is actually predicted to happen every 2065 years. Okay. It says not only that, but it was also predicted in the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch is an ancient Jewish apocryphal religious text ascribed by tradition to the patriarch Enoch, who was the father of none other than Methuselah and the great grandfather of Noah, okay, which states that 200 watchers or Nephilim, okay, would ascend to earth to destroy the evil done by mankind and man itself. What happened next can possibly be considered coincidental. Fires destroyed almost every town and city in the world, and by almost, I really do mean almost. Every small market towns had fires, floods, or both. Ultimately, the parasites wanted every last remnant of Tartaria wiped from the pages of history. And then he's got a list of fires that occurred around the time of the last reset. And I'm going to read this and then we're going to stop at this page right here. So I'm going to read it down. 1760, Boston. 1794, New Orleans. 1795, Copenhagen, Denmark. 1812, Phoenix, Arizona. 1812, Moscow, Russia. 1812, Washington, D.C. 1835, New York. 1846, Pittsburgh. 1848, Constantinople, Turkey. 1864, Brisbane, Australia. 1866, Portland, Oregon. He just has Portland and he has America. 1871, Paris, France. 1871, Chicago. 1871, Michigan. 1878, Hong Kong. 1886, Vancouver. 1900, Ottawa, Canada. 1901, Sydney, Australia. 1904, Toronto, Canada. 1906, San Francisco. 1917, Atlanta. And we actually had a city called Terminus. Just saying. 1920, Cork, Ireland. 1923, Tokyo, Japan. As I stated, it wasn't just fire and the comet that destroyed the world's cities and towns, but floods and earthquakes too. It is my belief from the research I've conducted that the meteorites that hit the planet were actually atomic bombs. Moreover, this wasn't the first time they had used these either. And no, if you go back and you look at the Vedic text, all right, you go back and you look at the Vedic text, you'll see where they actually incinerated cities and people were standing outside holding hands and they just went up in flames and you could see their skeletal remains. You know, you could see it's just horrifying when you look at it. Mohenjo-daro is one of them. I'm just saying. So I'm going to stop it right there because I'm at 37 minutes and I just wanted to make sure that you all, we finished chapter 5 and then we started chapter 6. When I come back, we're going to drop down and we're going to finish up chapter 6. And he goes into, the fatalities and the earthquakes and things like that. So he's laying it all out there for us to go research ourselves and deep dive. And like I said, he gives enough information in this book to where it makes you you question things and then you start to go look at the research for yourself. I mean, because that's really the only way that you're going to know it, right? You can listen to me read, but ultimately, I say this is, for entertainment purposes only, and you have to be your own voice and your own reason. And my thing is that I'm just sharing some interesting information that I found when you look at everything and you analyze everything for what it is, you start to see a picture. And so also he discusses in here, when we're going to come back and read that, this is in chapter 8, the whitewashing and repurposing of world fairs. We're going to get to that. So I started chapter 6. I'm going to do, I'll come back and finish up 6 and we'll get into chapter 7 because we're going to go through the wars and the timelines, the destruction, and then we'll lay it in with the world's fairs once they started repurposing the buildings and introducing people, the Cabbage Patch, the clones, the humans that were harvested and grown, and some of the children that were taken from the Tartarians that were really small, right? 6 months or less. they had to groom these babies up. And as they grew up, of course, we all know what happened. They put them in seats of power, and they were conditioned and groomed into being these people. Because if you take a tribe of 20 kids on an island and you raise them up the way that you want them to raise up, and you teach them what you want them to know, then they're going to believe that's the truth, and they're going to believe that that's all that it is. They're not going to step out of the narrative and question things, especially if you drill it into their head, like say, for example, military industrial complex or military. They're going to break the soldier down and then rebuild them up into killing machines or whatever they want them to do. But again, it's all about conditioning of the mind and programming. Anyway, I thank you guys for joining me. I'm glad we were able to finish up chapter 5. And like I always say, be the change you want to see all around this Earth Dome, because it's up to you and I to make a positive change. I'll talk to you guys soon.